Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Got another episode of the Casual Basketball Show. It's been a couple weeks, and we're here to talk hoops. So let's get straight into it, man. I want to talk about organizational failures, multiple of them in the NBA right now. The obvious one is the Dallas Mavericks, who fired Nico Harrison last week. We're going to talk about them last because it kind of leads into one of my other points that I want to talk about here today. But first, let's start with the Sacramento Kings. One of my homies is a Sacramento Kings fan. Salute to you, my brother. These is rough times. And it's been rough times over the past 20 years. But besides that, this team is, for me, unwatchable. I've seen maybe 2 or 3 Kings games this year. And, I don't think I'm going to be watching too many more, if I'm being 100% honest with you. Just because it's it's just bad. Bad basketball, and this is the point that I want to get to. This is organizational failure, literally. Okay, you had a team that was on their way ascending to a certain level, right, back in 2023, and you get to the playoffs. You have this whole light the beam thing. You are competing with the reigning champions at that time, the Golden State Warriors, coming off a title. You took them to 7 games, right? 7-game series. Steph Curry did the Steph Curry magic thing that he always does, like he did on Friday against the Spurs and Wednesday against the Spurs and countless other times. But you had something to kind of take away from that season. It's all right, we're building something here. We got De'Aaron Fox, Malik Monk, we got Sabonis, we got Keegan Murray, we got Keon Ellis. We got all these pieces, these guys. And it kind of, the season after that, it just flipped to the complete other side. And it was not great, to be frank. It wasn't great. And they haven't been to the playoffs since. They sniffed the play-in a couple of times, but outside of that, it wasn't really much else for them to really, to write home about. And their ownership is so bad. It's so bad. Vivek Ranadive runs amok amongst his organization, and you can tell because of the moves that they made since they realized that okay, this isn't gonna go well. They traded De'Aaron Fox. They traded Tyrese Halliburton. They traded Davion Mitchell. They traded for DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine. What else? It's a mess. My brain is scattered. Like I said, I only seen 2 Kings games. But I know from reading articles and stuff like that last year about, or even going back to 2018, when Vlade Divac was in his ear and somehow, some way they didn't draft Luka. They drafted Marvin Bagley, which, at the time, it was okay or whatever, because Luka, at least in an American's eyes, was, unknown. In the track record on European players coming from overseas is, so-so. But besides that point, where do they go from here? Legitimately. I don't know. Salute to you, my brothers, King fans everywhere. I wish the best for you. I don't really have too much else to say about that, but let's get to the Pelicans. The Pelicans, I actually caught the end of their game tonight, and Derek Queen had a great night against Jokic, and they at times were competitive. I wouldn't say overall in the game they were overly competitive, but they were able to compete in this game with the Nuggets, and their young guys flash, and that's a good sign. Zion is back, you know what I'm saying? I don't know how long that is going to last, just because it's he'll be here for 10 games, then he'll miss 5 or 10, maybe 20, or maybe the rest of the season. We never know. But I read an article on The Athletic about how they're super unserious. In New Orleans, The Saints are number one. LSU football number two. And the Pelicans are somewhere in line after that. And it shows in the terms of their facilities, their arena, their amenities, their train. It even goes to train staff. Like, I remember seeing somewhere, I don't know how valid this still is to this day, but I remember a point in time where it was like, yeah, we use the same trainers as the Saints. Which, like, on like the surface level, it's like, oh, okay, but their seasons weren't concurrent at a point in time, and they have had a ton of injury problems, stemming from Zion to Brandon Ingram to Trey Murphy to Herb Jones to Jose Alvarado. It's been a ton. There's people always getting hurt. Even Dyson Daniels, when he was there, was getting hurt. Like, it's to the point where you just think their franchise is cursed. But where I want to kind of see my soul of organizational failure is going back to the point where their owner, that's not her priority. Her priority is the Saints. And they hired Joe Dumars over the offseason, after they got rid of David Griffin, and he hired Troy Weaver to be the general manager. And wow, Troy Weaver had a great reputation in OKC for helping build that big three back in the early 2010s. The last job he was at was with the I'm pretty sure it was with the Wizards, but before that he was with the Pistons. And the Pistons are good now, but when he was there, yeah, and he made a lot of confounded decisions. I think he's tapped in with our area, the DMV, so he's always picking guys or signing guys that have some sort of tie to the DMV. You look at Derek Queen, you look at Sadiq Bey, you look at there's plenty of other examples that I can't think of right now. And I remember while I was not making videos, but I was still consuming basketball because I love this sport. But I was listening to Sam Vecini and Bryce, the Game Theory podcast, when they were going over the draft. And it was like, there was just like a laundry list that Sam Vecini was going over of like all the ties that he had to the DMV. It was ridiculous. I'm trying not to curse. It was ridiculous. It was insane. It was like ridiculous how crazy it is. And he has faults. They're very obvious. And I do want to read a quote from this article. The Athletic is a paid thing, so I'm not going to show none of that on the screen or nothing like that. But I want to find this here really quickly. Hopefully quickly. Where are we at? All right, so this is the opening portion of the article. Shortly after taking over as the new president of the New Orleans Pelicans in July, Joe Dumars spoke to his team's scouting department and emphasized two things. First, this is a professional organization, so character, and that was the most important thing, character. And secondly, a thing that the Pelicans have struggled with over the years is defense. And the quote here is, whoever they brought in had to be able to defend. Shortly after Joe Dumars departed, those same scouts looked at their phones and were shocked to see that the Pelicans had traded for Jordan Poole. These are the type of things that we're talking about. Like, it makes no sense. None of it makes any sense at all. And Zion, like I said, he came back tonight. We don't know how long he's going to be back. The hamstring stuff, calf stuff is super tricky. So we'll see how that goes. And Derek Queen was excellent tonight. He was super good. He was excellent. So things could be looking up for the Pelicans, but you also have to remember that Joe Dumars was spearheading the draft for them. He traded their pick this year, which everybody knows. We all know this. And they got to get it together. Unprotected first-round pick, too. They got to get it together. Get it together. Please. Or there is a real chance that there's a sale of this team and they are no longer in New Orleans. I don't want to give an opinion on that because it's a tough situation with any city losing a team. So that is too sensitive of a topic for me to kind of comment on. I don't really want to comment on that, But this is the reality of what we're in, and it is because of a complete organizational failure. It goes from the owner to the president to the GM, the assistants, all of that. All of them are the ones you should be looking at, throwing your tomatoes at, because they're the reason why these things exist, right? And that moves us on to the most famous organizational failure that we've had in the Dallas Mavericks. And it's still confounding to me to this day, why you would make trades, trade future draft assets to build a team around a guy that's probably top 3, top 4 in the league in Luka Doncic, and then turn around and trade him. Not even for anything of equal value. Nothing of equal value. Nothing of equal value because you wanted to keep it on the hush. This, it still breaks my brain. I don't understand. I don't get it. I legitimately don't get it. But I was able to read another article that I'm going to pull up here. There was an ESPN article by, I'm pretty sure it's Tim McMahon. I got to scroll up because it's a long article. Yes, Tim McMahon. And essentially, I'm going to link the article down below. It's on ESPN if you want to read it. It's a really good read. But it kind of goes over kind of some of the inner workings of the Mavericks going all the way back to 2023 when Mark Cuban sold the team to the Dumont family and everything like that. And it kind of, it's a 3-part thing, right? First part, we all know Mark Cuban is a meddling kind of owner, right? And he always had his say when it came to basketball decisions with the Mavericks. That's just what that's who he is. That's what he did. So when he sold, there was kind of like a sigh of relief from Nico and some of the other assistant GMs and things like that. They're like, damn, he finally gone. We can kind of get some autonomy, get away from him always meddling and stuff like that, right? Then it still doesn't make any fucking sense. It doesn't. It doesn't. Essentially, it goes into the article goes into the Tim McMahon telling the story of events from sources within the Mavericks about how Nico kind of got into Patrick Dumont's ear to kind of be like, hey, man, I just got us to the finals with these trades. We got Kyrie, we got PJ Washington, we got Daniel Gafford. You know what I'm saying? We drafted Derek Lively. We're on track to really, really compete, right? Which is all true. It's all true. Now, the point of contention, at least from what I could surmise from the article, was that Mark Cuban and Luka obviously had a good relationship, and Luka was more so kind of still one of Mark's guys, in my opinion, because they always had a friendly relationship, friendly banter. They never really had any outwardly public, any kind of issues or nothing like that, right? So by the time Nico's full time and things like that, and there was a spat between Nico and the team and Luka's camp about how he should recover from his injuries and his defensive performance in the finals, and that being a catalyst as to why they lost and things like that. That already strained their relationship. And then the money comes in. $345 million Supermax is on the table. And for some reason, even though, like I just said before, he built this team around Luka Doncic. The team is built around Luka Doncic, who is a top 3 player in this league. even if you had to pay him that much money, you do it. You pay him his money. He's that good. Give him his money, man. So he ends up kind of putting the money in a situation where he explains it to Dumont in a way. It was like, we need to do this because I can't trust this guy, and we're going to pay him $345 million. I can't do it. So he does that. That's one part. And then the second part, and the reason why it was on the hush, at least from Nico's perspective, was due to not wanting Luka's camp to know that he was actually thinking about trading him. Because if Luka's camp would have known, they probably would have been able to get their connections through Mark Cuban, who's friends with Patrick Dumont, and the reason why they facilitated the deal for him to buy the Mavericks. It was gonna nix the trade, and Nico wanted his guys for some reason. He wanted AD, which he already had a previous relationship before, but I quite can't understand why he would do that. But the trade goes through, and everybody's like, what the hell? Are you stupid? Are you dumb? What is wrong with you, Nico Harrison? And now it brings us to today, where we have Anthony Davis on the team hurt, and things are kind of bleak because they got the number 1 pick in the draft, and they got Cooper Flagg. And Cooper Flagg he's gonna turn that organization around by his play on the court, and hopefully ousting this organization from idiots. So there's hope there, but it's kind of minimal because Nico is an idiot for trading Luka Doncic the way he did. They have the 2026 pick, which is like, okay, we could tank this year, try to figure out something. Maybe we can get a top 5 pick and get one of these players that I've been watching, and we'll have notes and videos on coming very soon to y'all. Yeah, they have a chance to do that, but the following from 2027, 2028, 29, and 30, four seasons, no first round picks because they traded them to get pieces for Luka, who is no longer on the team. So Godspeed to Pelicans. Godspeed to Mavericks fans. Cooper should be great. Let's just hope somebody doesn't come in and ruin it. And yeah, man, one final thing that I kind of want to touch on is, like I said, the injury problems that we've been having in the league. And there's a growing list of star players who will be out for stretches of time, multiple weeks, possibly months, and a select few, like 5 or 6 guys that are out for the season, like Dame, Tyrese Halliburton, Jason Tatum, guys like that. They're out for the season. But more recently, we've had a ton of calf and hamstring injuries, and there's been a conversation online and everything like that. And there's an article on Yahoo Sports from Tom Haberstroh that kind of chronicles the statistics behind these injuries that have been happening and what the league can kind of do to hold on. And what the league can do to kind of get back on track in terms of getting their best stars on the court to have a great product. And it sparked a lot of conversation on Twitter, obviously, about what should be done. Hold on. God damn. All right, we good. On Twitter about what the basketball community can kind of surmise on what this is and what's the cause of all these injuries and things like that. And part of that just has to do with bad luck. Get that out the way first. It has to do with bad luck. And there's been a ton of good points. People have said, hey, since youth, especially with American players, the youth system for basketball, it puts a ton of mileage on these players. And by the time they get to the NBA and they're going through this rigorous schedule, their bodies just They can't really take the pounding as much as they've been able to in the past, just by basically essentially overuse, you know. And to that point, I kind of do agree. The AAU system is rigorous. It's rigorous, man. And the high school system is intertwined with the AAU system, and all of it can be rigorous. You playing multiple games a day. The top talent at this point, the younger guys, they don't play as much in terms of, especially if you're in the EYBL, you might play 2 games a day. Back in the day, you might have played 3, 4 games in one day. So that does really have a contributing factor to this. But also the pace of the game today is insanely quick. It's insanely fast. There's a ton of possessions in each game, and when we seen with OKC and the Pacers and the kind of things that we saw in the playoffs was, hey man, we want to speed people up. We want to get into your space. We want to make you make quick decisions, and that'll force a lot of turnovers so we can get out and run and get easy baskets and kind of supplement our offense with transition. Right? It's great. The product itself looks good, but it's getting to the point where it's getting to be too much. It's too taxing, and people have always argued, hey man, we should shorten the season. I don't know what you want to shorten it to. We can do 70 games, 65, something around that range. I'm cool with that. But there's a problem that comes in, and it has to do with money. Obviously, when you sign these TV sponsorship deals and you get these contracts, you have a CBA. It's all essentially bound. You have to follow it, and players don't want to lose. Nobody want to lose money. Do you want to lose money? No, right? So players don't want to lose money. The owners don't want to lose money. So what can we actually do to kind of offset this kind of thing, right? In my opinion, I wouldn't say shortening the season immediately right now, because it's obviously not possible. Even my what I'm gonna say isn't possible right now because of CBA, money, all that kind of stuff, right? But what I think should happen, because every other form of basketball overseas, like in every country overseas, college basketball, women's college basketball, the WNBA, let's shorten the games. Nobody else plays 48-minute games. Everybody else plays 40-minute games. Let's get to 40-minute games, please. It will make everything a lot better, you know? And even if you want to combine, shorten it to 40-minute games, and then you still go down to 70 games per season, you're helping your product become better and more. There's going to be more quality in your product because it's not being overused and stepped on. And you get games where you get national TV games like we saw on Tuesday with no Ja Morant, no Victor, no Stephon Castle, no Dylan Harper. National TV. You get those kinds of games. Nobody wants that. Players don't want it. The owners don't want it. The fans don't want it. Nobody wants it. So something has to be done. Something needs to change. And it's not going to happen soon. The NBA is doing like biomechanical research. So I guess they're trying to address it without actually making wholesale changes in terms of the scheduling and things like that. And they've kind of done that recently over the years, you know, shortening the 3 games to 4 nights, and that doesn't exist no more, and trying to minimize back-to-backs by doing the home and home series. I mean, the homestand kind of stuff, which is great. It's great basketball. It provides like a little mini playoff series in between games and things like that. But we need to do some stuff to kind of prevent these things from happening. And I think, man, yeah, I think things need to change in order for us to get the best product possible on a consistent basis. Because like the first portion of this season, the first couple of weeks, the season is cracking. It's double overtime games, highlight. It's everything you want to see. But now, as it goes on, and reality kicks in sometimes, bad luck happens, bad things happen, and you get where we are right now. So, yeah, I think I'm done yapping. and I do want to kind of get into some more of the content stuff. On Sunday, last Sunday, I posted my first entry or blog, article, whatever you want to call writing, on Substack, the Two Hoops blog. You know what I'm saying? Go check that out on Substack if you haven't. You know what I'm saying? I would appreciate it. I'm going to have a lot of content pumping out soon. The first thing I wrote on was AJ DeBonce's first real test last Saturday against UConn. They got another game. I think this is, I don't remember if it's neutral site or not. It might be considered neutral site, but it may be in Wisconsin. They're playing the Wisconsin Badgers on Friday. That should be another test for them in a non-conference schedule to see how they fare. And this weekend I'll probably have a post, kind of a longer one, in terms of what players, especially this freshman class in college, is absolutely insane. It's super talented. When you outside of the top three with Darren Peterson, who's hurt right now, unfortunately, speedy recovery to you, gang. Another hamstring thing. Cam Boozer and AJ DeBonce, those top three guys. But you also got guys like Caleb Wilson, Nate Ament, Michael Brown Jr. There's a ton of guys, man. Koa Pete, bro. I just seen 3 Arizona games. One game when they played UCLA, he was, freshman. But tonight, when they play UConn in that first game against Florida, that kid is good. Caleb Wilson, really good. Michael Brown Jr. looks really good. And I know y'all beat my Kentucky Wildcats last night. Shout out to my Michigan State homies. You know what I'm saying? Cam Ward from the area, public school, killer from Largo. He's been doing well this season. Another freshman, So we'll see how that goes. I'm going to have some more stuff on Substack. And I'll probably make another video like this, kind of going over the stuff that I saw, the weekend observations, or whatever I'm going to call it. I don't know what I'm going to call it yet. But that's going to be it for today. Another episode of the Casual Basketball Show. If you haven't subscribed, like the video, comment down below. If you want to talk about some stuff, I'll be down to talk. Come on. Tap in. It's Two Hoops, man. Appreciate y'all for watching.